getting you up and getting your sports day started. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3.
To have you with us this morning. We'll have the Rangers and the Astros tonight on Double T 97.3. 6:30 the broadcast time, 7:10 first pitch. These guys just played last week, but they only played 2 games, and that was in Arlington. So they'll play 3 this week. Played last night, play tonight, and play tomorrow night. High school fan zone tonight on 100.7 The Score, featuring coaches from Monterey and Lubbock High. Both teams lost heading into what will be week 3 of the high school football season. So that'll be tonight at 7, and then the Astros broadcast picking that game up at 8 o'clock tonight on 100.7 The Score. Tomorrow night, Friendship and Lubbock Cooper coaches. Boy, oh boy, what a ball game Friday night, Jamie, between those two teams.
Yeah, a lot of fun. A lot of fun. I thought you saw 2 teams play really well, and unfortunately for Cooper, they had it just felt like one offensive possession where they got stopped, and because it was kind of back and forth in that second half, and Friendship made some plays down the stretch. But man, I think both teams really played well. I think both. I know Cooper loses the game, but, they're playing a 6A school there. But I'm sure they expected to win that game.
Yeah.
I expected them to win that game. But I think what you saw was 2 teams that, that have a chance to be good this year. So
really
that was a really good non-district matchup and should make both those teams better. So good, really, really good high school football game with great atmosphere and all that good stuff. But I'm sure the Coopers will come back strong because that's a talented team, and I'm sure Friendship. You mentioned it on Saturday, and I agree. I feel like they needed that game more than Cooper did, and I'm not saying that there was more effort or anything like that. I'm just saying that Jay Northcutt's been over there Friendship for a little bit, and he's got. It feels like it's time for that program to take a step forward.
Sure.
Underneath him, and hopefully that'll be the case. That'll be a game that can kind of catapult them forward. But then again, they also beat Cooper last year. Yeah. In an exciting game, and
didn't catapult as much as they wanted.
That's exactly right.
want to.
Yeah. So, hopefully it's they can build off of that, and I expect Cooper to bounce back big time.
It'd be nice to have a catapult in your backyard, maybe, just to see if you could catapult over the fence, or
to where?
To catapult into the alley. Maybe catapult onto your roof, just when you're putting up your Christmas lights, kind of as opposed to using a ladder.
Okay.
Because you think a catapult would be safer than a ladder?
Seems a little dangerous to me.
It seems like that might be kind of fun.
I mean, I know that some of us have had an issue with a ladder in the past.
Sure. Right.
And I almost had one on Saturday, but I really would rather use a catapult than a ladder. Okay. I mean, a ladder than a catapult. That's. Okay. I don't know that I'm going on. I think it just might be giant limb there. It
just might be kind of fun. Friendship and Monterey will play on Friday night. We'll have that game for you from the Tigers' home place at 6:30 broadcast time, and then kicks at 7. And as far as Lubbock Cooper, they're on the road this week. They'll play at Abilene Wiley. We'll have that game for you as well on 100.7 The Score at 6:30 and 100.7 The Score mobile app. Plus, for the Friendship game, it'll also be on the Double T 97.3 mobile app. So look forward to those 2 games on Friday night. The week will happen quickly because it's Tuesday. So there was no rest for the weary over at the football training facility yesterday, as they're already moving forward, getting ready for Houston. As I walked into the building yesterday, I ran into one of the coaches, and I said hi. We exchanged pleasantries, and I said, when he said he'd already moved on to Houston. I said, yeah. I said, but it sure was fun Saturday night. It was fun in the stands Saturday night. It's fun to see folks. It's fun to, kind of see what transpired. The horse had an inauspicious start, so I don't know. I don't know if Fearless Champion is kind of warming up or whatever, and maybe Centennial Champion said, man, I just do not like this name, so I am not going to run. I don't know, but it was not a good debut for Centennial Champion.
I didn't see Centennial Champion run outside.
Well, he did not run. He kind of just galloped would not even be a word. he kind of loped. When it came time for him to run, it was okay. You wanted to almost kind of tickle him from behind and say, "Let's go," But there was no going. He was, I think, he was a little spooked.
Okay.
The handlers did a great job of handling him, but
so first time. We'll see if he improves. We're all allowed to get better.
We are allowed to get better, and for him, anything would be an improvement. And I was like, man, if the game goes like this, I'm gonna lay it at his feet, because it did not. I was like, I was all excited waiting for it, and I know that Coach McGuire, he talked about seeing the horse run and watching the YouTube versions thousands and thousands of times, and it wasn't quite what YouTube or what we had seen previously. So that was a little disappointing. A couple of other injury notes for you that Coach McGuire talked about yesterday. Do expect Adrian Fry to play this week.
It's good.
Okay. They do want him back at punt return, but they do expect him to play. They described it as a thigh contusion on Saturday night, and basically that's what it was, and they just wanted to get it worked out, so they feel like that he'll be back. Cameron Valdez will not play this week, and with the way that your two running backs played, Sir Roderick Thompson and Taj Brooks, both those guys, you're like, well, okay, well, you need him. You need Cameron Valdez. You want to have him in there. He said North Carolina State maybe, or Texas. Okay. And then Cole Spencer, the offensive lineman who came to Texas Tech with Wes Kitley from Western Kentucky, he is now out for the year. But he will have a medical red shirt and will be back next year. Apparently, I don't know if it's a combination of the knee and the lower back, but it sounds like a lower back injury is the bigger problem than the knee. He had knee surgery in the off season and had been rehabbing that. But it sounds like the lower back is the bigger problem, at least at this juncture. So he's going to take the year, get healthy, and he'll be back next year. So that's a little disappointing, but
yeah, definitely.
But I mean, it gives you, it just adds to your depth for next year. So I mean, that's really how you have to look at it. They were really, Coach McGuire was really pleased with how his center played, Dennis Wilburn. He said he was really physical, directed the line, was real excited about that. They were especially pleased with how the defensive line played. I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I thought both lines, offense and defense, played well. I was happy there. I felt like there wasn't a lot of running lanes. I felt like you put pressure on the quarterback, the defensive side of things, and then on the offensive side of things, it just felt like your quarterbacks were never under pressure. Running backs had plenty of room to cut through and get into the second level in a hurry. So I was impressed. I thought both lines did well. I think the one thing that stood out as a negative was the defensive backfield, not the defensive line. Yeah, no, and they talked quite a bit about that, not only yesterday, but after the game. And one thing they talked about was eye discipline with the defensive backs and not keeping their eyes where they wanted them to be, and kind of losing, the receiver coming downfield. And then the other thing they talked about was at times not being able to contain the quarterback from a defensive line standpoint. And so as a result, especially the first half before the kid got hurt, I mean, that kid could really throw it. Of him getting loose and not being able to leverage him in between the tackles so that he's kind of running back there and has more than enough time to throw. And so as a result of that, the receivers downfield getting open. So they assessed a lot of the problem on the defensive backs, but then directed some of that from a defensive line standpoint, that some of what took place was because of what they weren't able to do up front. But certainly that was a glaring concern that we all saw Saturday night.
All right, your thoughts, your comments. We'll get to some of them this morning on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Go to the Double T 97.3 mobile app. It's presented by Happy State Bank. What'd you see? What'd you observe? What'd you like? What didn't you like? If you want to share that.
Big plays and even bigger laughs. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3.
Time for this day in sports history. Today is the 7th of September, 2022. Here is Jeff McGuire with this day in... No, it's the 6th, sorry. I lost a day.
I was about to be worried because I wrote one for the 6th.
You know, it is September the 6th. You're correct, sir. Go ahead.
1905, Chicago White Sox pitcher Frank Smith no-hits the Detroit Tigers 15-0 final score. Call that a dominant win, folks. 1946, All-American Football Conference begins regular season play as the Cleveland Browns beat the Miami Seahawks 44-0 before 60,135 at Cleveland's Municipal Stadium. I know we do inflation with money, but should we also consider inflation with crowd size, too? Because I don't know what 60,000 fans would be like in 1946 compared to now, but that still seems like
a lot, yeah.
That seems giant, right?
Yeah.
Right.
1960, American Otis Davis runs a world record 44.9 to win the gold medal in the 400-meter at the Rome Olympics. German Karl Kaufmann records the exact same time, but is ruled second via a photo finish.
A photo finish. Love a photo finish.
1975, Czechoslovakia tennis star Martina Navratilova asks for U.S. political asylum in New York City during the U.S. Open. 1977, Angels acquire Dave Kingman from the Padres for cash. 9 days later, the Yankees would buy Kingman, who started with the Mets. Kingman would play in all 4 divisions in 1977.
Wow.
I don't know that he made that big of an impact for the... Let's see. So this was after September 1, so he would not have been eligible for postseason play back then.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Because the Yankees won that World Series. That was their first in quite some time since the 60s.
And in 1995.
What began on May 30th, 1982, and continues September 6th, 1995. This game, with the Angels trailing, is now in the books. And let it be said that number 8, Cal Ripken Jr. has reached the unreachable star.
2,131 consecutive games. He would go on to play a few more.
Was that Chris Berman?
That was Chris Berman.
21-31, because he did that game from... I thought that game was in Camden Yards, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So he was calling it for ESPN?
Mm-hmm. He did some games.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And originally that series was going to be on the road, and both teams agreed to flip the two series from one earlier in the year to that one so that they could break that one at home.
Okay.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
It is National Coffee Ice Cream Day.
Jamocha almond fudge, right? The Jamocha?
Or just any coffee ice cream flavor.
Coffee. I always liked the little coffee ice cream shake from the 31 flavors.
Okay.
Happy birthday to John Wall, who turns 31. Michael Winslow, the man of 1,000 voices, is 64. Jane Curtin is 75.
Jane Curtin.
Jeff Foxworthy, 64. And Mitch Moreland is 37 today.
Boy, I haven't heard that name in a while.
And on this day in 1522, one of Ferdinand Magellan's 5 ships, the Victorian, arrives in Spain, thus completing the first circumnavigation of the world. That is this day in sports history.
All right. That's this day in sports history, 6:49 this morning here on the Morning Drive. Aaron Judge is tracking to make history. Jamie, quote, on pace now to break Roger Maris's American League record and Yankee team record of 61. He hit number 54 on Monday afternoon, his third in as many games. So He leads with 54. Kyle Schwarber is next at 36. Then Austin Riley with the Braves at 35. Mookie Betts is fifth on the list with 33, and Paul Goldschmidt with the Cardinals is at 34. So
pretty crazy the gap between him and.
I know, right. Mm-hmm. So his 54 through 135 puts him on a pace to hit 65. So he's got a shot at breaking Maris's 61 with the 61 Yankees. And this is the American League record, not the Major League record.
Right. Correct.
And it would obviously be also the Yankee team record. Okay.
Did you see the stat they just threw up there on SportsCenter a minute ago? Since the All-Star break, that he's hit 21 home runs. The rest of the team has hit 32. The entire team. Yesterday, Marwin Gonzalez homered, 2-run shot, drove in Judge, who had doubled before him.
Mm-hmm.
It was the first time since, and I know it was only the 5th yesterday, whatever, but it was the first time since August 30th that somebody besides Judge had driven in a run. Wow. You want to talk about, a team that cannot score unless one guy does it for you. Reliant on one guy.
And what's crazy is in run differential, they're second in the major leagues.
But look at the last.
I know.
The worst record in the American League in like the last month and a half.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all about them crushing and setting all these records at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
It means nothing now. It's what are you doing now?
Right.
You are terrible. You're the worst team in the American League over the last 50 games.
They lead Tampa Bay by 5, Toronto by 5.5, with an 81-54 record. So they are behind Houston, and for the best record in the American League, the Astros are 87-48. They lead Seattle by 11, Angels by 28, Rangers by 28.5. The Mets, they're okay, but they're 6-4 in their last 10. They've lost their last couple. But they lead by 1 over Atlanta, so they've got a real dogfight going on there in the National League East. Obviously with just one team, and then St. Louis leads the Central by 7.5, and the Dodgers lead the Padres by 19.
Wow.
And their run differential is 291, the Dodgers, compared to the Yankees, which is 189, so almost 100 runs better than the Yankees, and the Dodgers are still playing pretty good baseball, although they're 5-5 in their last 10. I got to be honest, with all the college football, getting ready for the college football, then the college football that we've seen. And so far, and there've been a lot of great games. You can go back to last Thursday night, both those games, to even Sunday night. With the Florida State LSU game and the way that game ended. I looked up yesterday, and the Rangers had lost 8 straight going into their game with Houston. They lost last night 1-0, so they're now losers of their last 9.
Yeah, they have definitely struggled of late.
Doesn't speak well for the interim manager. Not that it's all his fault, because it's certainly not his fault. But if you're trying to figure out a way that, hey, I'm really motivating the guys.
Yeah. if you thought he was going to win the job over their performance, he's not going to do that.
He's not going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But man, I got to tell you, some of these college football endings, man, it's for week 1, coming out of the old block, so to speak. There've been some pretty spectacular ball games and some performances. That LSU ending with Florida State, though, Sunday night, where you have a muffed kickoff, and then you have a fumble at basically the 1-yard line when Florida State's going in just to kind of tack it on and go, okay, this game's over. We're going to run it out here. We're going to score. And then LSU drives the length of the field, scores on the last play of the game, and then has the ensuing extra point blocked. But Jamie, that blocked extra point, it
still almost went in.
Yeah, it hit the crossbar. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't the kid's fault, the kicker. It was the offensive line was leaky on the left side. They'd had another extra point blocked as well, so they got a little work to do on their protection for their kicker. That was his first game kicking. So
yeah, like you said, not on him.
Not on him though.
Recapping yesterday while looking ahead to today's sports day. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3 is presented by Bizarre Solutions. Call them today for a free cybersecurity audit.
All right, what you got?
All right, my question for you today is a two-parter. What is your number one positive takeaway from Saturday, and what's your number one negative? This will be, I think, a bigger challenge for you. Takeaway from Saturday.
Yeah. Okay. I think the positive for me was just the crispness of the offense. Okay? It just seemed to flow. And again, I know you're playing Murray State, but the last couple of years when we've seen struggles against Stephen F. Austin, struggles against Houston Baptist, struggles against fill-in-the-blank team, Sam Houston State, going back to the Kingsbury years, I felt like the pace of it. I really enjoyed to the point where there was like a couple of times like, hey, slow down. I'd like to see the replay, because they couldn't show the replay because it was so fast. So I just felt like the crispness of the pace, especially in the first half, stood out to me. I guess the thing that disappointed me the most is kind of Captain Obvious stuff was, man, I really thought the defensive backs were going to play better than what they did. Now, they talked about the eye discipline, which I've never heard. I mean, look, I didn't play high school football, so I can't sit here and tell you that, I'm very familiar with extremely everything that comes out of every coach's mouth. I think I'm pretty astute on some things, but I'd never heard eye discipline as a reason for giving up long passes. Okay. And
well, Chuck, let me help you out here. You can use this on your Lady Raider broadcast too.
Okay.
Because if you see a player, let's say the point guard's got the ball at the top of the key, right? And you see a player kind of overplaying out on the wing, who she's guarding, and the point guard ball fakes, and they jump for the ball fake, and then the player goes backdoor. That's bad eye discipline.
Okay. I'm going to bring that up.
Okay, so you can use that during a Lady Raider broadcast, and you'll sound really, really smart.
See, we're inside the Finkner window now, so he's going to be alert to that. So if I say, Mark, she was not using good eye discipline there.
Yeah, she went for the ball fake instead of watching her man.
Yeah,
watching who she was guarding.
I just had never heard that. He said they talked about how they lost eyes, took longer to react, and they were and Coach DeRuiter talked about that as well. Both of them talked about eye discipline. So they also talked about leveraging the quarterback, and finally I'd heard it so much, I'm like, I can't be the only one in here that really doesn't understand what you're saying. So I asked them to clarify the leveraging of the quarterback. Could you explain that to me? And he did, and he was very nice about it, which is what I like about this group, okay, is that, not that I'm always going to be the one that maybe asks the stupid question or seems to be the one that's maybe not as astute, but I'm not afraid to ask the question that I think is like on everybody else's mind, but nobody wants to ask because they don't want to look not smart. So I'm usually the one that's willing to ask that question, even in like everyday life. Like, I don't understand that. Could you explain that? And then somebody's like, oh, I'm so glad you asked that question because I didn't understand it either.
But you do run the risk that everybody else does know the answer and you don't. Right. It might happen.
Right. It might happen.
It might happen.
So those are the two things, Jeff.
You're just hoping not very often.
I loved the aggressiveness that you saw on offense. And some of that was with tempo, and some of that was with the play calling. And there have been times you have been very back on your heels with offense in a lot of different directions because a lot of that has to do with the opponent, but you kept attacking. That it's been a while since I felt like that from an offensive scheme, that you were just attacking like you were on Saturday. The concern, and I know this isn't as big of a deal as it could be because it's something we should expect, but you've lost another quarterback. At some point, this black cloud over the quarterback room needs to go away. Injuries in the quarterback room are driving me nuts. I'd like to see a quarterback start all 12 games and, play. That'd be fun for me for a while. And we got another season where you've got a quarterback that won't do that.
Okay, number one for me is, I've asked for this for a while, is just to be able to show up at the stadium and feel like confident your guys are going to show up too. And I think Coach McGuire and staff did a great job. A team looked ready to play, ready to go. I know you gave up a first down on your first drive, but then you forced a punt, and then you immediately made it look easy coming down the field and scoring. You then force another quick punt, and you immediately come down the field and score again. And it was like, okay, they showed up. They were ready to play.
Okay.
And there was no question. There was no doubt. Is this team fired up about playing this game? Does this team overlook Murray State? There was no question that was not the case. That they didn't overlook them, and there was no question they showed up ready to play, and that made me extremely happy because I just in the last 6 or 8 years you couldn't tell, you didn't know.
There were times, right?
Okay, and so I don't want to get over the top on that because it's just one game, but
sure.
Okay, but that was one thing that I took away, and I'll go with I don't know that there's a black cloud hanging over the quarterback position because I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I immediately went, okay, well, we got another good one. All right.
Right.
But I do feel like depth is now, you're a little bit nervous about depth, or at least I am, okay?
Sure.
Because again, you're just one play away from now it being the next guy. And what I saw on Saturday was 1A and 1B are pretty good. And the third guy is, talented, but not quite ready. And so that scared me a little bit. Now, if he gets more reps and more in practice, and they spend more time with him, could he be ready? Possibly he could. I don't know. That's hard to gauge, but I do worry about the quarterback depth. But I'm sorry. I don't feel like when we found out he was injured, it didn't feel like, okay, our season is shot here. I felt like, okay, Donovan looks like he's very capable as well.
Yeah.
Okay, and we saw that last year, and we saw that with what we saw in that game the other night. So, but I do worry about the quarterback depth.
Okay, at this point now.
No,
yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. All right, so if you have a thought, let's see, 806-770-59. 806-771-5973. That's the Benchmark hotline, or the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Go to doublet973.com for that, or the mobile app. It's presented by Happy State Bank. Coach McGuire was pretty pumped about the Raider walk. He said it was huge for our players.
Good.
Could feel the excitement.
It was definitely loud.
It was definitely loud, and they're going to squeeze it in a little more so that more people can be involved, and the players can feed off the energy even more. Okay. So that's cool. Saw a number of Morning Drive listeners and folks inside the stadium. And of course, I should, right? It'd be concerning if I didn't. And then
our people are on the scene, Chuck.
Our people are on the scene, and then
absolutely.
And then Sunday morning, I ran into Raiders' dad and Raiders' family, his mom and dad and his other brother, at the donut shop. So that was cool.
I ran into a Morning Drive listener this weekend.
Yeah?
Specifically Sunday morning when I took Indy to the dog park.
Oh, yeah?
I was wearing double T t-shirt because, it was Sunday morning. Didn't feel like getting dressed up. Walking around out there, and someone says, "Hey, do you work for the station?" I do. Are you Jamie Lent? I'm not. He doesn't need that curse on him in any way, shape, or form, but he said he enjoys listening to us every morning.
That's nice.
That was a first, running into a Morning Drive listener at the dog park. That was kind of cool.
Was that a first of you being confused for Jamie as well?
No. I've been...
You ever been accused of being Jeff? Accused or confused with being Jeff?
I have not. I have not.
Well, it was more that...
we met a Morning Drive listener on Saturday that was very angry with me because I wanted Tyler Shuck as the starting quarterback, and you and I both had to let her know. I was in the Donovan camp. Yeah. Both of us were.
Right.
She was not happy with me about that. She told me to stick to baseball.
And you're like, "Ma'am, I would, but they're not playing right now."
They're kind of off. They require me to talk about the other sports too.
Yeah, they do that. All right, well, that's good. So see, we're here, there, and everywhere. It's hard to be mad or scared about Smith after that line he put up Saturday. Cannot be mad with it at all. That from the Yates Flooring Center chat line.
I'm just where Jeff is, and it feels like every quarterback that we have gets hurt, and so I'm a little bit nervous about him getting hurt next and not having the depth.
Right.
And now you see why Coach McGuire works so hard to make sure that you have all three of them.
Sure.
Recapping yesterday while looking ahead to today's sports day. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3.
Time for the boom, boom, boom. Here is Jamie Lent.
All right, the Lady Raider basketball team has finalized the program's 2022-23 non-conference schedule. Lady Raiders open the season with an open exhibition against D2 foe Midwestern State on November the 1st at the USA, before the home opener arrives on November the 7th against A&M Corpus Christi.
It's like, 60 days from now? It's like crazy. 61, because tomorrow's the 7th.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought you meant November the 1st. But yeah, November the 7th. Yeah, that's fair.
I saw this, and it just kind of made it. You always have to wonder about the context of these things. But anyway, Margaret Court, who Serina Williams was chasing for Grand Slam singles title, she has 24. Williams has 23. Williams now out of the U.S. Open with her play this weekend. She did not advance. She basically says that she has always given Serena a lot of credit, but she doesn't feel like that she's. She goes, I've admired Serena as a player, but I don't think she has ever admired me.
Yeah, I think Margaret Court would have been better off not talking on this subject.
Yeah.
I don't have any idea if Serena has given her credit or not given her credit. I really have no idea. But Margaret Court just comes off a little bit rough in this, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, she does. And she talked about how she had 2 babies and won singles titles after she had a baby, and Serena hasn't. And then the other thing, and I did not know this until I read this article about Margaret Court, 11 of her 24 singles titles, Grand Slam singles titles, came at the Australian Open.
Okay.
And Billie Jean King, back in the day, questioned the level of competition that court faced.
Apparently, some of the best players wouldn't go to Australia.
Yeah, and there's travel then was harder and all those kinds of things, but it just seems like
in every era there are positives and negatives that make it. It's just hard to compare.
Right.
It's just, I don't know. I didn't think it was a good look for Margaret Court. You also know that I don't love the personality that is Serena Williams.
Right. No, I know. It's hard. Basically, I backed you into a corner now.
Yeah, I think Serena's an amazing talent and the greatest women's tennis player in the history of the sport. But I also think that she's very much into Serena.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I just think Margaret Court looked kind of bad.
I agree. I agree. And Margaret Court's before my time. I don't remember her playing.
I mean, you're both great players, right?
Clearly. Yeah. Right? Clearly.
Yeah. So
why be chippy?
Serena's probably being the bigger person by not commenting on her comments at this point.
So far, right?
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, hopefully somebody's getting to Serena and saying, just let it go.
Back away from this. It's not worth it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I have no idea whether Serena thinks highly of her or not.
Admires
clearly, her. Yeah. Clearly, Serena stuck around just to try to break the record. Mm-hmm. I mean, she hasn't played really good tennis, and I mean, really besides that second round match, she hasn't played really good tennis in a while. Mm-hmm. You know, she hasn't been a contender to win major championships in a while.
Yeah.
Okay. She was trying, and I'm not blaming her for that. She was trying to break that record.
Sure.
I get it.
Yeah, no question.
I mean, I get it. But she still, whether she breaks it or not, is going to always be considered the greatest women's tennis player ever.
She got really close.
Yeah. Different era, different time. Mm-hmm. All right, Texas Tech women's golf program has debuted at number 24 in the first coaches poll. Coming off the program's 21st NCAA regional appearance, 11th and 13 seasons under head coach JoJo Robertson. Red Raiders opened their season this past weekend at the Caramel Cup.
I know. I know that you'll be just fascinated with this story, but I just can't let it slip. So Joe Buck goes to ESPN to be the broadcaster for Monday Night Football, right? Leaves Fox. Okay. So he had time left on his deal with Fox. He had a year left. But he wanted to meet up with Troy Aikman at ESPN. So Fox lets him out of the contract, and they did get some compensation back from ESPN. ESPN allowed Fox to select one game before them that Fox wanted to air this college football season, and the game that they selected was Penn State-Purdue. So that's why that game was on Fox and not on ESPN last week.
Okay.
So there you go. So thank you very much for that.
It was a good game.
It was a good game.
Yeah, they picked a good one.
They did pick a good one.
And also right there at the beginning of the season, got plenty of excitement.
Sure, right, all those things.
All right, Hunter Brown dazzled in his Major League debut, scattering 3 hits across 6 impressive innings. Astros beat the Rangers yesterday 1-0, handing the Rangers their 9th straight defeat.
Okay, so told you a week or so ago about the Cooper buses breaking down on the way to their game in Dumas for Game 1 and the Abernathy School District stepping in, right?
Yeah, they did a great job.
Awesome for that. How about this for the Utah football team that got stuck in Gainesville, Florida on Sunday morning. The game against Florida ran late. Florida won the game, upset Utah, but the Utah plane was grounded due to mechanical issues. And so as a result, the Florida folks went out of their way to get the Utah guys buses and hotel and meals after that long, disappointing day.
University of Florida people did?
Yeah, University of Florida people did, yeah. But they credited the AD and his administrative team for providing critical assistance. So they provided a hotel partner, buses, and meals, and we expect to charter home later today. That's what their the Utah AD wrote. But Utah lost 29-26. Florida quarterback Anthony Richardson rushed for 106 and 3 touchdowns, including the decisive score on just 11 totes.
Yeah, big pick late in that game.
Yeah, so, and I guess, if you wanted to be cynical, well, it's easy to be nice when you've just won. But, I think they probably would have been nice. Because you kind of sometimes you need friends on the road, right?
We'll never know if they would have been nice or not. I do agree that it is easier to be nice after you've won. I 100% agree with that. And if you disagree, and I'm sure there are people out there that do, you're a better person than I am.
Yeah.
Because I will tell you, I will be much nicer after my team wins.
Yeah. Raiders dad says this off the Yates Flooring Center chat line. We went back and forth there at the donut shop. He said, I had 2 questions I didn't ask Chuck. You seemed a little underdressed for church. Yeah, we didn't make it. Second, did I hear you mention fish for breakfast? No, the boys were captivated by the fish at the donut shop. That's part of our routine when we go to the donut shop. They got to go talk to the fish.
Okay.
The youngest one, I think I've got him trained now to not bang on the tank to get the fish's attention. Okay, I think he somewhat understands that now.
Yeah, I think that's the fish don't like that.
The fish do not like that. No.
Yeah. But you can do that here in our studio.
You can bang on us.
Yeah, bang on the glass.
All you want. This from the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Very concerned about our new horse. He seems very scared. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I missed the whole horse thing.
Yeah,
I do. I did not miss the fact that so many people are upset about his new name.
Yeah. Stat of the night, apparently from the press box, Jamie, our very own Clint Scott, and he corrected me on the Double T 97.3 Coors Light postgame show at the Overton Saturday night. I said 3 bomb pops. He corrected me to 4 bomb pops. 4 bomb pops.
4.
And then we shared some pizza with him that the lucky lady had purchased. So he had 4 bomb pops. 4. It seems a bit over the top, doesn't it? Was he goaded into these 4?
No.
He just kept going back for more.
Kept going.
He saw like a full cooler there.
Hey, I don't know if you noticed, but the second half was a little rough.
It was a little rough, right?
Clint, along with anybody else, was just trying to keep themselves occupied. I'm glad Red Raider football is here. I'm glad we blew them out, but it made for a little bit of a snoozer in the second half.
No, I agree.
So
I agree.
There may have been some shenanigans
in the press box
in our area.
Okay.
Everybody else was super professional.
Journalistically, writing down plays, all those kinds of things.
Our group, maybe not so much.
Well, I've come to expect that.
Okay.
You guys weren't.
We're not as serious as you guys just down there taking notes on napkins on the east side.
Okay. No. I had it all upstairs.
Oh, good.
On Saturday night. All right.
Getting you up and getting your sports day started. This is the Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3.
With Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire, I'm Chuck Heinz. Come to you this morning from the First United Bank Double T 97.3 studio. Thoughts, comments, Yates Flooring Center chat line. Go to doublet97.3.com for that, or the mobile app. Benchmark hotline is open too, 806-771-5973. If you have something to share from over the weekend, some kind of outstanding familial or personal highlight that you want to share, or a low light. I mean, if there was something that was bad or something, your wife ran off with a plumber and you want to complain, we're your shoulder, to cry on if that's the
or maybe you just want to warn the plumber.
Now that was funny.
I'm just saying, man helping man, we can do those kind of things.
Right, yeah, right. Hey, good luck to you, or sorry about you, right? could be a little bit of that as well. We'll have the high school fan zone tonight at 7 on 100.7 The Score. Coaches from Monterey and Lubbock High. Neither of whom will be probably in extremely great moods because their teams both lost last week. But maybe they've already shoved off and moved on and getting ready for this week. Tomorrow, Friendship and Lubbock Cooper coaches will be on for you on the high school fan zone. Rangers and the Astros tonight. We'll pick it up at 8 after the fan zone on 100.7 The Score, and you'll hear the complete broadcast, Ranger style. It kind of all of a sudden I had that song in my head, that was really big back in the day.
How's it go?
Kingman style, or what? How did it go?
Gangnam style.
Gangnam style, yeah. All of a sudden I had that in my head. 6:30 for the Astros and the Rangers tonight from the Juice Box. Play-by-play at about 7:10 this evening. Rangers have lost their last 9. We get this from the Yates Flooring Center chat line, Jamie. Texas Tech opens as a 3-point favorite against Houston. That's the home field advantage right there. Basically, home field gives you 3 points.
Pretty much, yep.
So they're saying it's pretty much a toss-up. Yeah,
it's fair.
Toss-up. Let's see here. Shuck looked like he was making his reads quicker and had a quicker release than Smith, but not by much where the stats were concerned. Well, I mean, it's a moot point now with Tyler Shuck out. I mean, you're going to hear 2 games. I think I'd be shocked if he was back by Texas.
Yeah, I would be too.
I think that would.
Yeah.
I think you're bare minimum looking at 3. Okay, so that's Houston, that's NC State, that's Texas, bye week. Who really knows? I mean, these, and at some point in time, do you go, hey, this just may not be the career you thought it was going to be, unfortunately for you?
At some point, you might have to do that, but I don't know that he's ready to go there just yet.
No.
Yeah. I think it'll be interesting to see what the team's doing over the next 3 to 6 weeks or whatever, because I mean, if Donovan Smith played like Donovan Smith played last year, I don't know that. I think it's going to be a tough decision for them to make a quarterback.
How do you
change.
take him out? Is that yeah? No, I think that's fair. Hey, so when you think about like going back to last Friday when we're sitting here, or even when we're at game day, blah blah blah, were you surprised at how well they played on Saturday night? I mean, if I'd have said to you, and we had so many different conversations about it, but I mean, if we'd have had the crystal ball and we'd have said, okay, here's what's going to take place. Here's how well you're going to look efficiently offensively. And Coach Kitley talked about this. They didn't really have too many, penalties. I mean, they had a couple that they took that were, delay of games or whatnot to set up from a punting standpoint. They did have a couple of, false starts. But by and large, they were pretty mistake-free.
I mean, you scored a touchdown on your first 9 possessions?
Yeah.
Before you punt?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming. I mean, I predicted Tech to win 41-13 or 41-17 or something, or something like that. So clearly, I didn't think you'd be that efficient.
41-13 was what you predicted.
Offensively. So I think I expected your defense to hold them somewhere around there. Mm-hmm. But I didn't think your offense would click that quickly and be that good. So
they probably played better than what you thought they were going to play.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think probably almost everybody would have to say that. Now, they may not say that inside that facility. They may say, "Hey, we felt this coming, blah, blah, blah." But I think, the casual fan that hasn't been to practice or, has, base knowledge of the team and then has this long-standing history that's in their head of like, well, typical Tech, come on, blah, 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 stumble the way they're around the first game. But anyway, I guess the point is, I think they looked better than anybody thought they were going to look week 1.
Yeah, but I also don't think that anybody's voting them into the top 25 over beating an FCS team.
I did look for you because one of your big, bold predictions was that Tech would be in the top 25. I did look to see if they were receiving votes in either the top 25 AP or the coaches poll.
I'm guessing they did not.
Did not.
Yeah.
Did not. But
the losses I needed to have happen in the top 25. And it's fine. But you know what? Go bold or go home.
That's right. It was definitely bold.
It was. It's definitely
delusional.
Way bolder than mine. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think we'd have you checked if you were too bold.
Maybe.
Clearly not.
No, we'd have you checked. It's like, what have you done with Jamie Lent? Where is he? Where did you kidnap him or?
Mine were kind of boring this week.
No, not really. Okay, so what did you think of the college football playoff decision by the board of managers, who basically said to the conference commissioners and Notre Dame athletic director Jack Swarbrick, "Hey, Nimrods, you guys can't get this done, so we're going to take this away from you, and we are going to have 12 teams in the college football playoff, and you better get it toot sweet. In fact, we'd like it to happen in 2024. I mean, I think that's a pretty amazing statement on two different levels.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I think expanding to 12 is what most college football fans would like. Yeah, more teams is going to change the storylines a little bit. I think that's part of what we're all so bored of right now, is watching the same 3 or 4 teams every year in the college football playoff. And it may end up with those same 4 at the end. Who knows? I don't know. But at least we're going to see some other teams in the playoff, and maybe there's an upset, maybe there's not. I don't know, but it gives us an opportunity to change things up a little bit and have more games that are super meaningful, and that to me will make the playoff more watchable,
more compelling for the regular season. And I got to tell you, I mean, usually the world of academe doesn't have a whole lot of common sense. I mean, usually world of academe extremely smart when it comes to the books, but world of academe usually in the common sense department lacks. And the sense of urgency. I mean, usually, especially for these board of managers who are presidents of universities, like, how many times does it seem like, you hire a president from another university, or a new guy starts and it takes him like 15 months to get here? All right? Mm-hmm. And so it seems like their sense of, like, somebody lit a match. Mm-hmm. And I'm excited about it.
You've been listening to the Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3. For more from Lubbock Sports Station, go to doublet973.com.